Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Breaking 90 podcast. Thanks for joining us again. I'm here with my co-host, Jerrika and Alex. We are the coaches of Breaking 90 Fitness. And thanks for listening. Jer, how you doing today?
Not too bad. How have you been?
Good. This won't line up with timelines because of when this airs, but we just completed our a yoga class with the Breaking 90 students. So one of our really awesome students, Amanda, shout out to Amanda. She is a virtual yoga instructor, and she asked if she could host a yoga class for the Breaking 90 committee team. And so we did that, and it was so awesome. Like I haven't participated in a ton of yoga. Have you?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
So I've probably done like, I don't know, maybe 5, maybe closer to 10 classes in my entire life. Like I haven't done a lot of yoga. So I wasn't really sure what to expect with virtual yoga and what it was going to be like. And man, she knocked it out of the park. It was really cool. It was really relaxing. We did it late at night. It was like 7 o'clock at night. So everybody got into a really good space and relaxed, and it just it felt awesome to do. So really cool. I'm actually what I could do is get her contact information and leave it in the show notes for this episode, because I think people could benefit from that yoga. But it was a lot of fun, and I think everybody had a good time with it. Yoga is one of those things that a lot of us feel like we probably should do it, and we don't make time to do it, just like stretching and mobility work. And it always feels great when you do.
Yeah, no, I've done a few virtual yoga classes as well, and it's so awesome doing it in the comfort of your own home. That's the best part.
I really liked it. I've thought about yoga in the past, and it's always like the idea, like I'm just not going to commit to driving somewhere to do it. So that's a really, really cool opportunity.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Pretty cool.
So what I want to talk about today is you a little bit. And so I'm going to put you on the spot with your Spartan races, because I know everybody is going to be excited to hear how Spartan went. So I want to hear about your race experience, how it went, what went well, what didn't go well, but also what I'd like to do with this episode is, like, I know a lot of people love the idea of running an obstacle course for the first time, and a lot of them never have, and there's a lot of beginner races. So let's talk about a few tips, tricks, and strategies to get somebody from where they are to running their first obstacle course. So start off though, tell us about your weekend and your experience.
Cool. So this past weekend, I guess depends when this airs, but I went to the Collingwood Blue Mountain Spartan races, and it was a full trifecta weekend. So when you hear the word trifecta, that means there's 3 races that are being held in the 2 days, or sometimes 3 days. In this case, it was Saturday. There was a beast race being held, which is a 21-ish kilometer obstacle course race with about 30 obstacles throughout the race. And then there was a Sunday morning race, which is the super, which is around a 10K-ish race and has 25 obstacles throughout. And then in the afternoon, I had a sprint, which is a 5K race with about 20 obstacles. Some people opt to do one, like most sane people, and I opted to do all 3 this weekend. And you and I have done a trifecta in the previous weekends, and I've got to say they were the complete opposite in terms of difficulty and everything.
I was going to mention that. So when we did this a couple of years ago, we did all 3 on 3 different days on a much easier terrain. So now you just did all 3 in 2 days on a more difficult terrain. Tell me about that.
Terrain was like, and the thing is the locations, we did it in Duntree and Collingwood, which they're probably about 20 minutes away from each other. And it was the complete opposite. Duntree was rolling hills, and it was a race. Like you were physically running, sprinting the whole time. Whereas they said right at the beginning, this is not a runner's race. So you are not running at Blue Mountain. You are marching, climbing, hiking. You're walking, I'd say 80% at least of this race, and it's just so much. It's so long. It took me twice the amount of time each race to do what we did in the previous trifecta.
Crazy. And you did all right.
I did all right. Yeah, I did all right.
Tell us how you did.
I placed first in my age group for the beast and the sprint, and second in my age group for the super, which is just crazy because you're out there alone. You have no idea really half the time who's in front of you. You spread out so quickly on these hills because I'm from Sudbury and we don't have hills anything quite like that. So training is totally different than someone who lives there and does those hills. So, I'm at the bottom of a hill, and to be honest, these girls are blowing me away on these hills. I physically could not climb these hills as fast as they could. But my forte are the obstacles. And the way that this Blue Mountain race was held was they weren't allowed to put obstacles in the middle of the hill because of all the rain that we've been getting. So they only had to stack a ton at the top and a ton at the bottom. So we'd go up, we'd do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different obstacles, run down, 1, 2, 3, run up. And then there was some trail racing between and things like that. But so I was able to really catch back up and take advantage of these obstacles and not do any burpees. Wow. And this is my first year I've ever done a Spartan and got the spear throw. And that's all that matters.
Such a good feeling. Such a good feeling. I missed it on one of my races, and it's just devastating having to do 30 burpees at any point in your race. It's devastating.
And it's so quick, right? If someone gets it, they're ahead of you now, and good luck trying to catch back up. So
did you get the spear throw? Did you get it on all 3 races?
No, on my very last race.
So you had 30 burpees on the other 2 races?
Yeah.
You had 30 burpees at the end of a 20K race?
So actually, this location, the spear throw was like the 3rd obstacle.
Okay. I think that's actually worse.
Yeah, you had to do a spear throw right into an uphill sandbag carry. So it was like 30 burpees right into uphill sandbag, and I was like, I'm not doing this again. So I finally got it, and that was it was a game changer. Nice. I felt amazing on the sandbag carry the 3rd time around.
Jeez, congrats. Well, you did awesome. Looking back at the training and leading up to it, would you have changed anything you had done leading up to in preparation?
1000%. So I actually had, and this one can talk about nutrition for people who are starting these obstacle course races. Nutrition is key. When I can go out and run a 21-kilometer run around my neighborhood, no problem. And I'll bring some nutrition with me, or even a 10K. 10K is a common distance. And so people will go out, leave their house, run an hour-ish, and bring nothing with them, right? And come home. Where when you go to these obstacle course races, it's not just an hour 10K, it's 2-3 hours out there, and you need to bring nutrition. And I do, and I pack a ton, but I was so, I guess, excited and just into it that I forgot in the first maybe hour and a half to stay on top of it. And then I was trying to play catch up, right? Because your body's utilizing everything it has to get up and down these hills. And at that point, I was so depleted, specifically of sodium, that I started to get muscle cramps in my first race, my beast, to the point, something I've never experienced before. My quads were balled up. Visually, you can see the ball rolling through the muscle. I couldn't physically walk. I was lying down, like trying to massage them out. Then the calf went, then the toes curled under, and I'm lying there. It's like 15 minutes of I don't know what to do. I'm eating everything that I had. I'm massaging it out. I'm trying to work everything out. And then this angel ran by me and passed me 2 salt tabs and was like, here, like thinking, I was like, as if I didn't have any. And so I took 2 salt tabs and chewed them up and tried to get moving. And then I was able to kind of continue on to my race. And then every time I would jump up to reach an obstacle, my toes would curl, everything would spasm again. So then there's another 10 minutes of me working them out. It was the most mentally grueling experience. I thought I was going to have to quit 100%. There's no way I was getting down that hill. And, you just keep moving and keep eating and keep drinking water. And so that was something I would for sure have done differently on the first race, because I suffered the rest of the weekend, because it feels like a bruise once they heal. And so I suffered in my other races because I was just so bruised and sore from my first race experience.
Wow, that sounds painful. I remember the one we did together, I got some cramping, obviously not to that extent, but in my quads, and it was like, oh, I don't know about this. But the one thing that drove me so hard was that you were right there on my heels. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to walk while Jerrika's running.
Yeah, that was a really fun race. And then the other thing I would certainly change would be more hill training. I'm looking forward to starting actually next week to start next year's training. I'm really motivated. So I would spend way more time with a weight vest or a sandbag and just walk up and down the ski hill. You don't even have to run at this point. I would just be getting more time tension, weight on my legs and in that uphill position, which I did not do. And that was the entire race.
Yeah, I've looked at a couple of the pro athletes and their training plans, and there's so much hill training.
So much.
Yeah, that's definitely something that a lot of people underrate, I think, on those courses, is just how much those hills take their toll. And I mean, you were working through injuries too, right? So that's a whole different beast. Although there's nothing you could have done about that. That's something you were also battling with, injuries coming into your training. So
Yeah.
that's another obstacle in its own. Cool. Well, thanks for sharing that with us, and congrats on all your success. That's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, I highly suggest everyone trying one. There's a huge group of us, and I'd say 60% of my people I was with, it was their first time, and although it was probably the most challenging Spartan I've ever done, we actually got a hold of some of the elites and we asked them, where does this one rank in the world in terms of Spartans? And one of them said like 9 out of 10. One of
Yeah,
the
I
hardest
heard that. I heard
so
that
that
from
was
a
a pretty
couple
cool.
people.
So if you can survive that one, I mean, the rest are going to be a blast.
Okay, so let's talk about this then. So people listening to this, I know so many people say they'd love to eventually run a Tough Mudder or what any of these OCRs, where even just like the 5K, like guys, if you're listening to this, don't be intimidated. What we're talking about here is like some of the hardest stuff out there. There are much easier options. There's 5K options. There's easier terrain options. There's all kinds of different beginner, intermediate, advanced races. So don't let getting started intimidate you. But Jerrika, like, what would you give as like just right off the hop? What advice would you throw to somebody listening to this that wants to entertain the idea of running one?
Well, I think everyone and anyone could definitely attack a Spartan. They're not as scary, definitely not as intimidating as one would think. The 5K is 100% where I'd start, just so you get a feel for the obstacles. And you don't need to run them. And I think that's everyone's like, I have to be able to run a 5K. You don't. So many people out there walking. And the nice thing is there's different divisions. So there's an open category where it's all about teamwork. So go with your friend. Your friend can boost you over the wall and you do it together. So it's not about feeling like you're not prepared. Go in with a friend, walk it, climb it, hike it, do a bit of running, and just enjoy the process, because there's some beautiful views out there, and it's pretty cool. You feel amazing and you feel like you could tackle anything after.
It's such a fun event, such a fun sport, and things like the burpee penalty, that's for the competitive divisions. In the open category, like Jerrika mentioned, it's optional. So don't let something like the burpee penalty intimidate you either, because that's not mandatory. If you want to do some burpees, all the burpees, that's up to you in those open categories. So that's just more for the competitive divisions. But I love that you mentioned that you don't need to be able to run a 5K to participate in this, because I think that's one of the things that holds people back the most, is they won't enter because they can't already run a 5K. Well, the truth is you're going to get out there, and most of the people in that open category are going to be walking almost the entire race. And it really is about teamwork and having fun and getting out and bettering yourself. But it's also cool to see how you can improve from year to year and what changes you can make. And then if you love it, then you look at, okay, how can I increase my times? But the first time you go through, it's really just pushing yourself to complete this event.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We started this, a couple of years ago now, 4 years ago was our first one. And
Yeah, probably
it becomes
now.
a little bit addicting in a way, just because of the way you feel during and after. It's pretty awesome.
I remember finishing that race and being like on Google, being like, where can we go to race again, like in a month? Like I want to keep this going. And then of course, like winter happened and COVID, there was no races for the 1 year, and it's just like, but it is a feeling like no other. And at the end, it's a party and people are eating great food and having beers together. Like it's really different than what a lot of people picture it to be.
Oh, it's such a social event afterwards. It's a blast, and music's pumping and everyone's around, and it's really awesome.
So now that we've just given a free promo for Spartan, hopefully they hit hopefully they hit us up for a deal. But like let's just go through a few basic training tips leading up to it then. So if you're currently doing nothing, the first thing I'll say is just get out and start moving regularly. You need to increase your total kilometers. So total kilometers on the road, walking, running, hiking, whatever that is, you need to increase those total kilometers. And now if you're listening to this is a good time to start thinking about it, because you're not going to be doing one until next after the snow melts wherever you are. So start increasing those kilometers, but as you've heard us say in the past, not too quick, not too much. That's the biggest thing. Slow increases to total mileage week by week. What else you got, Jay?
I would say when you're going into running one, make sure you're not in a really big deficit, because they expend a lot of energy. So allow yourself a little bit more calories going into them, because we need to utilize that.
That's great advice, actually, because a lot of people listening to this are trying to lose weight, trying to lose fat. So they're in a caloric deficit, which is an energy deficit. So your nutrition needs to change leading up to that race. That being said, now far in advance, I would say that the leaner you can get by then, probably the more helpful it's going to be. So still focus on fat loss and weight loss now, if that's your goal, and if you need to make that body composition change, because climbing those obstacles, climbing those hills, running for long distances is all going to be easier if you're leaner. But then, just as Jerrika said, leading up to that race, you need to do a switch of your nutrition so that you make sure you're not in an energy deficit. That's a great point. Somebody running the 5K, do you think they need to worry about bringing snacks and tablets and things like that?
Not necessarily. They might want one thing. Depends. If it's your first one, you could be out there for a while. So I would bring at least some type of, little snack in your pocket. They have a lot of water stations, so definitely utilize the water stations. And if you're someone who's a very thirsty person, bring a water bottle or a pack with you and throw it on your hip or your back. It's definitely nice to have it on your first one.
Yep. Focus on hills for sure, just like Jerrika said. Make sure that you get out just walking, climbing hills. Like don't do all of your training on flat ground or on a treadmill. Get out and actually hike. I think hiking is one of the best things that you can do to get ready for those hills, to get your legs ready for those hills.
And when it comes to the obstacles, I would say just increase time spent maybe hanging on objects, whether that's a pull-up or just a hang, or depends what you have access to. Just hang from even a towel rung into a door and hang from it. Working on your grip strength can go a long way, as there's the monkey bars and the rings and things like that. Or go to a park.
Parks are great. So getting leaner is going to be huge because it's less weight to hold on these obstacles. Total strength is huge. So even if you're just like doing your core lifts, like your squats and your deadlifts, it will pay off, but you should still have some time playing around with different obstacles and hanging and climbing and that kind of thing. That being said, if you don't, you will still get through. You'll still get through this. There might be like a rope climb or something that you can't do, that you struggle with just because you don't have the technique down. Not a big deal. Go out, give it a shot, see how it goes, come down. It's fine. Nobody cares if you finish every obstacle or not. Like, it's really about just getting out and having fun. So don't let one, if you look at videos and training logs, don't let one obstacle intimidate you if you haven't perfected it. The first race is not about perfection.
I think that there's a ton of videos out there about how to or tips and tricks on all these obstacles. But honestly, if it's your first one, I think they're almost a little bit intimidating in a way. So I just say definitely go with somebody. Do it with someone else that you can, put them together and, watch the tips and tricks videos, but don't let it scare you if you're someone who's never done an obstacle before. Maybe just allow yourself to have a little more fun with it.
A lot of these tips and tricks videos are for people who are trying to shave like 10 seconds off of an obstacle. Like they're trying to just master that obstacle so that they don't have an extra 10 seconds on their score. Like that's not for the average person. Doesn't have to worry about adding 10 seconds to their time.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Well, I think that's a good starting point for people. Obviously, if anybody has questions about this or is curious about this, reach out to us. We love the sport, and Jerrika's still fresh in it. She just completed her races, so we love talking to people about this. If you have questions or you're considering running one next year, we'd love to hear from you and what you're thinking and where you're thinking of going. And maybe we'll see you there. I know I'm shooting to get out there again next year, and Jerrika obviously is. So
I'll be shooting to pass you next year. That's the goal.
I don't know if we'll have to worry about that. You might be carrying me. You might be carrying me. I hope I can get out there and at least run it. It'll be a good feeling to get back.
Definitely.
So the one this is going to be airing just after Halloween. So the one piece of advice I'm going to give you guys this week is I hope you enjoyed your Halloween with the kids. I hope you enjoyed some of the treats and minimized the damage. You didn't let it get out of control, but you allowed yourself to have some of it. You don't need to keep that shit in your house forever. Okay. I know you have that big pillowcase full of candy. Nobody needs that much candy. Like, enjoy what you've gotten to enjoy. Take out a couple more pieces and get rid of the rest, whether you donate it or throw it out, whatever you got to do. Don't even put it in the freezer. You don't need that much chocolate in your house. If you're listening to this, get rid of what is left of that Halloween candy. And that is going to be my golden nugget for you guys this week. Thank you guys for listening. Make sure you share this with your friends, share it on Instagram, comment on the podcast, wherever you're listening, rate it, let us know what you thought, and let us know what episodes you want to hear in the future. Thanks for being here.